Well, thank you for joining us again this week with Sabir. Next in our hot seat is meet Joe Yoon, actually better known as JoeTherapy on to everybody. It's funny that somehow our social handles become our name. Your JoeTherapy.
I get
Joe,
called that. Yeah, I get called that all the time now instead of my real name.
actually, last week we had Christina.
Hmm.
Everybody knows her as Fully Raw Christina. That's her name. Like
It,
that's her name. It's not Christina Bookerum. It's Fully Raw Christina. It's just like that.
exactly.
Your Joe Therapy. You know.
That's my name now.
So Joe, just to tell you a little bit about Joe. So Joe is a certified personal trainer, licensed massage therapist, published author, founder of the fitness training business JoeTherapy. Joe graduated from Quinnipiac University in 2009 with a BS degree in health and science studies and was certified as a personal trainer by the National Academy of Sports Medicine in 2011. Joe actually has 1.3 million followers on Instagram. Joe, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Sabir. I'm very excited. I'm very honored to be on the show with all the heavy hitters you've already had on.
Dude, you're a heavy hitter too. You're 1.3 million heavily engaged followers on Instagram. I think you can share kind of your battle scars and stuff like that during the 60 minutes here. A master class and how, I don't think you started, right? You didn't start with this when you were growing up, high school into college. This was not the path.
Not at all. Like personal training was not really a good career, and it's not as popular as it is now. And then we all obviously didn't have Instagram, and back then it was forums. So it was you would go on these forums to find out more information. It wasn't so easy to just
Mhm.
pick up an app or pick up a phone and kind of find it. So yeah, it was totally different back then, and it's interesting how everything has evolved into this craziness now.
So let's talk about the beginning of the journey, so that the audience can kind of get to know you. You're in high school or college. Let's start from there, right? You're going in. What do you think you want to do?
Okay, so I'll try to give you the cliff notes because I could probably talk about this. It's I took a really weird route to where I am now, and so I went to college. I did the typical college thing and did very poorly in college. I actually got kicked out of my major my senior year, and I was going into diagnostic imaging, which was you do X-rays and then you would do CT scans or MRIs, and it was a great career, but I crushed it in clinicals and labs. But when it came down to kind of the traditional way of studying, the
The theory.
lectures, yeah, the textbooks, I was horrible at that and ended up getting three C's, which kicked you out of the program. So at that point, I was kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And, I was in my childhood home trying to figure stuff out, but I was getting into working out a lot, and that kind of became my passion. And just like what we were talking about before, I would start going on these forums, and it was a bodybuilding.com forums, thousands of people on it, probably like millions at that time. And there was one section called personal trainers. So I would hop in there once in a while, and people are making money and building a career out of training people. So I just figured, might as well give it a shot. I got nothing else going on right now, and ended up becoming a personal trainer. Moved to basically a suburb just outside of Boston, and was a trainer for 2 years. And within that time, I got my massage therapy license, and I thought that would be really good to add value to my clients, where I could do a little bit of massage and also train people. Uh, and then I'll cut a fast forward. And then I ended up being in the golf industry for 4 years. I ended up moving down to Florida. And that's where kind of I leveled up a little bit, where my workouts before, it was just about lifting as heavy as you can and, the typical, bodybuilder stuff, to actually learning about mobility and stability and how everything works together. And that's kind of where my passion came from, that you see now about the flexibility, the mobility, and kind of throwing in some strength training in there as well. Um, and and during that time, I did a little stint in New Jersey, and I know you know someone from Springfield, New Jersey. I actually worked at a golf course in Springfield, and it was Gary Vaynerchuk, his wine library.
Hmm.
And it was a funny story because I would drive past Wine Library every single day for like 9 months, had no clue who Gary was, and then just stumbled upon one of his videos on YouTube. And his videos basically made me want to quit working for someone and become an entrepreneur. And that's kind of what happens. And now I'm here. So that's kind of the Cliff Note version.
So, but we're going to take it a little slow because we want to actually share the journey. So people who are starting up, I mean, they might be running a business, but they may not be using their founder status or being the owner of that business well, so that they could actually, you know, because I'm a strong believer, and we have covered a lot of content on founder and how they need to elevate their personal brand from a digital social standpoint, and that how that becomes a bigger part of the branding of the entire business. You know, so it's not just the product that you're selling; it's also you become also the voice of the product too. So, at what point did you? So you're in this occupation, right? You're doing your personal training. You come across wine library. You see what Gary is doing, and it occurs to you at that time, you know, it's not wine, but in my case, it could be personal training. I could be producing this content. Did that occur immediately, or did it happen over time? And what was that journey like?
Yeah, not at all. It wasn't even about creating content at that point. I think I was looking up something about fitness business and just trying to learn about that. And the video with him and his one of his trainers, Mike, popped up. So I was just very intrigued by how this person could build a business, and he would train people, but also he could train people online too. But he was working for himself, which was the thing that was interesting me the most, because there's a ceiling when you're a trainer or a therapist, whoever you work for. It's tough to make more money than whatever is given to you or whatever is offered to you, unless you work like 12, 14 hours a day, which is, you know, I think pretty unhealthy. Though training hours it's 5 a.m., 4 a.m., maybe till noon. You take like a 3-hour break and then you go till 9 p.m. And I woke up at 4 a.m. for 2 years straight,
Wow.
every single day. And, you know, you get pretty burnt out pretty quickly, and you're trying to figure out ways that, you know, could maximize your time. So back then it was almost just quitting my job and then just starting something. But the content stuff didn't really pop up or was in my mind at the time. It was more just, how can I get clients to work with me and build it up that way? And the social media came in kind of the marketing for my business. It was like, how can I market for at that time was more massage therapy. And it was, how could I market without spending any money? Because I was in debt and Instagram is free. So that's how everything started with the content you're seeing now.
Oh, very cool. So what was the first platform for you? Where did you start? Was it Instagram, or did you start somewhere else? Did you have other starts?
No, I kind of went all in on Instagram because it was the platform that I personally like to use. So I enjoyed it more from just the consumer side before I even got into any type of business. And yeah, I just enjoyed it the most. So I figured if I'm on it the most, then this will be the best platform. And it's super popular too. So that definitely helps. And yeah, I went all in on Instagram. And back then it was maybe like 15-second videos, or you could do 60-second videos, I think. But you know, they don't have the features that you have now with IGTVs and a longer
Those are much later.
Yeah, so it made life a lot easier because you could only do a certain amount of content, and it was easy for me to pump out because there was a limit to what you could do.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to do with speed of communication too. Like the earlier cell phones or smartphones did not have the bandwidth. They were 2G or 3G. They didn't have 4G. There was no LTE. You know, some phones didn't even work with Wi-Fi. So, given those kind of challenges, you know, even when you do 15-second video, that's too much, and that's innovative at that time. You know, now
Yeah,
Now you can
yeah.
watch an entire movie on Netflix at home, and there is no glitch, and it runs really well. Or this kind of a live streaming event,
Yeah,
and there's no issues.
it's crazy. You would upload like a 15-second video, and then it would get
Process.
smaller, and then yeah, it would get a little pixely, and then the quality looked horrible. And yeah, now everything's like 4K, and you can just stream it right on your iPhone. It's nuts.
Yeah. Oh, what do you mean 4K? There's also VR 360.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not even there yet.
um, so you set up your profile on Instagram. You have 0 followers.
hmm
What was the first 4 weeks like?
Yeah. So this was so I wasn't doing as much personal training back then. It was all about massage therapy. I was looking at the surroundings in Orlando and figured there was a better market for like a sports therapy type of person to run a business here. So that's kind of the route I went. And a lot of the stuff I was doing at the beginning, it was just trial and error. There were photos, infographics, videos of me working on my clients. It was a mishmash of everything. But I started to just concentrate on working on my clients and then showing some of my sessions. So that's kind of what started it. And then I would take pictures with my clients, and then they would repost it on their pages. And then I started to get a little bit of traction. I mean, just 1,000, 2,000 people in the first couple months.
Hmm.
And but then I started to realize that, everyone would say, "Hey, Joe, I love your stuff, but I'm not in your area." So that's when I started to branch out a little bit, and I started to see other people like physios and chiros start to do more self-help stuff. And I figured, hey, I'm a massage therapist. I'll do something that's more muscle related and more of the massage side. So that's where the tennis ball comes into play. And I started doing videos like that. There you go.
Yeah,
Videos like,
I want to know the story behind this when you decided that this makes sense at the
yeah,
beginning in the first 3 seconds. But go on with the story first, and then you can
yeah.
cover it.
So the videos, I started to do that. And then that's where, I wasn't gaining just 10 to 15 followers a day or a week. I remember gaining 400 followers overnight after posting a simple hamstring self-massage technique. And then that's when it kind of hit me. I'm going to go with this style of video. And if you see it, I still post a lot of that type of style too. It's picture on the left with the name of the muscle and then the demonstration on the right side. And that's kind of what I did. I was just like, I'm just going to keep doing this. And if I don't get popular or these videos don't get popular, I'll pivot a little bit, but it just kept gaining momentum. So I just kept that style, and it made my life a lot easier because I wasn't thinking about different styles to use. It was almost a template. So I could bust out these self-massage techniques without any issues. And then the ball came into play because I have to keep everything as simple as possible. You have to tell everyone exactly the steps. And I was like, you need a ball, and tennis balls are very available. You can find them anywhere. You put it on this muscle, and then you do this, and then that's it. And that was a 15-second video. And it ended up just becoming a thing. It's like, you need this, check it out, put it here. But then I ran out of muscles to do. So I started to throw it thinking people would catch on, like, oh, it's a stretch. You don't need it. It's not a self-massage technique. But then I forgot people follow you at different times. And then I got that question a lot. But it was more just for simplicity and making sure people knew what you needed for the video.
Now it has become a signature for you. Like that's how all of your videos start now.
So it becomes I became the tennis ball guy, which I guess there was I didn't realize it, but some people that I talk to with business about, they'll say, oh, that's great. It's for branding, as people know who you are. You're the tennis ball guy. And then someone brought up some sort of like theory where it catches someone's attention, and it kept the person on the video for more than 3 seconds to start the video. And I was like, oh, I didn't even realize that. So it ended up being good strategy, I guess.
So from a stats standpoint, the first 3 seconds is the death of all videos basically on the internet. The first 3 seconds. If you don't capture them, and at second 0, it's your thumbnail. So it starts with the thumbnail, that freeze that you have, that first thumbnail you have, and then that's the first frame. And then as soon as they press, within the first 3 seconds, like especially you doing this, grabs my attention, and so that, I mean, maybe you started you became the tennis ball guy, but there's now a scientific reason why why it works really well.
I don't know. Now I know.
Yeah. Because the thing is, I mean, it says JoeTherapy, and everybody gets curious, like, wow, it's talking about hamstring. What does
Mhm.
the tennis ball have to do with hamstring? I'm interested. I'm curious now. So
Right,
it just
right.
increases your curiosity too. So that's pretty cool. Now, how many videos in the initial stage? Because you're in kind of the experimentation stage at that time,
Yeah.
right? So, how many videos are you producing in the first, let's say, 6 months or a year, the first year when you started with this?
So I didn't miss one day of posting, and it
Wow.
was probably, so I never missed one day. Sometimes it was twice a day. And there was a span where there was a hurricane in Florida and things were like closed for 2 weeks. And I posted 3 times during that time. And it was all original content too. But for the most part, the past 3 years, I've only missed maybe a handful of days where I never posted. But it was always minimum of one time a day. And that's where that template kind of came into play because it made my workflow very seamless. It was, I know so many stretches and massage techniques. I'll just tape one, 15 seconds, plop it into uh, Adobe Premiere, just change
Mm.
the fonts around, change the picture around, and then that was it. Put a song behind it, and uh, I just got really good at that, and it just became a habit. So I was doing minimum one time a day, but I think that's what really helped me grow because the algorithms were so much more favorable back then.
Hmm.
So you could, I mean, at my peak, I gained like 5,000 followers in one from one video, and then you would post another one, gain that momentum, and then you would gain another 3,000 the next day. It was crazy in 2017, 2018. It was awesome. It's
Wow.
tougher now, uh, but yeah, it was good. But it kept you motivated because you were gaining followers, so you just wanted to keep posting because you could reach so many more people.
So one of the challenges when you're producing like content that constantly, right? Like on a
Hmm.
daily basis, you always hit a wall, right? With either it's creativity or
Hmm.
it's just you go like I know that it excites you when you see the 3,000 followers from this one post and 5,000. That definitely inspires you to do more, but you do hit a roadblock,
Hmm.
right? I don't know if it's after 50 videos. Sometimes it's after 15 videos. Sometimes it's after 200 videos. You just start hitting a wall, and also it becomes cumbersome too. Like especially if you're shooting it on Tuesday for Wednesday post, uh, what if life happens, right? You get busy, stuff happens. You have a business to run also in addition to
Yep.
running your social profile, which is also your business, right? I don't want people to misunderstand that. Um, did you come to a place where it was you were batching, and you started batching things because you want to go on vacation in one of these days, or decide to do other things in your life than just posting on a daily basis?
So, so no, I never batched. I still don't batch really, which is pretty bad. And I've known you for a little bit now, where I'm not exactly the most organized person, and I don't really plan as well as some of the people that I know. But yeah, things kind of go in flows. Back then you would gain followers, but I mean there was dry spells where you're like, am I doing the right thing, or maybe I need to switch it up. But I just kind of, if you concentrate on the content, you can never go wrong. But when it came to batching things, the way I just work, it never really worked out for me. So I would think of an idea, I would film it, and again, I was using like an iPhone 5, like 5 or 6 back then. Just prop it up, do it, and then I would just post it. And I just got really used to it, and it wasn't too long. And if I would go on vacation, I would have maybe one or two prepped, or I would actually just film a video wherever I was because it was so easy to do. I'm starting to batch a little bit more nowadays because I'm getting a little bit busier. My time's a little bit more valuable, but you know, uh, it's cool because like IG Reels just came out, and that's making content creation a little bit easier, which is awesome because I went from a 7-minute IGTV video with captions video editing to IG Reels that I can edit in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh, Earlier you mentioned the workflow. So take me through the creative process and then the workflow, like operational aspect of the workflow to get that piece up and running.
Yeah. It's tough to explain kind of how I come up with things and the way I want to do things. First of all, I think having your personality within the video is always good, and then taking pieces from different industries. So I used to do this really early on when I didn't know what was going on. I would look at like meme pages. I would look at these other popular fitness pages and kind of take pieces of what they were doing and then implement it into my videos and make it my own. Like I wasn't copying it, which I think a lot of people do nowadays, and it's like kills them. If they just put a little bit of personality and their own spin on things, I think people would blow up way quicker than than they should be. They should. And the workflow, I don't know. I film a video, I put it down, and then to be honest, it's tough. I just don't really know how to explain how I come up with the creative. I just talk to a lot of people who are in my industry, and again, kind of seeing what they're doing. And yeah, I mean, one of the things I did early on, it was double tap the screen. It's kind of a cheesy.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, it's kind of a cheesy way to get people to engage. People get annoyed by it by now, but back then I thought it was like brilliant. It was right when IGTV came out and they were pushing this type of content, this longer form content. And I thought it'd be fun, like, hey, double tap the screen if this is, if this bothers you. And it did really well. And I don't think a lot of people minded too much because they were supporting me, but just trying to think outside of the box that way, I thought was, it's pretty good too. Maybe I'll come up with more ideas as this discussion comes along, but I'm blanking right now.
All right, not a problem. Because one of the things you mentioned Gary Vee, right? So one of the recommendations in his Gary Vee content model, he says that when for the creative process, in addition to like when you come up with your own, the other place to go would be to look at the community feedback that you're getting, right? So it's possible that Jim or Cindy in one of your postings actually the person says that, hey, can you do something for the hamstrings because I'm suffering from it. I would love to see a video on that. And that becomes part of your creative process, the community input side of it. So that influences it. Or people asking questions, and instead of not necessarily answering them you should engage with your audience, but the other way to engage with them is that becomes a content idea that you produce, and then you post it, and then you go back and let the person know, hey, you asked for it. Here you go. Here's the video.
So yeah, actually, I mean, now that you bring it up, that was a big part of it. It was back then. I was reading every single DM. I still read a lot of mine now, but some get slipped through the cracks. But back then, I answered every single DM. And then you could see trends, right? You could see how well a video did. People like hamstring stuff, low back stuff, sciatica stuff. And then you start to prioritize those because those are what I call the heavy hitters, for social media. And then I would post those on my most popular days, which was like a Sunday afternoon. And, that's when things would start to, the algorithm would start favoring that type of work. But yeah, that's exactly what's, taking the feedback from other people. They can guide you and basically create your content for you. It's, it becomes very easy at that point.
Did you ever, I forgot to ask this question in your journey. Did you go through a process where you were doing like, let's call it regular marketing, right? Or traditional marketing. And then you, at one point you were blending it or not blending it, and then you switched over. Did you ever go through that kind of a transition?
Yeah. So one of the things people think all the time is I just did social media and I got popular and everything blew up. And at the beginning when I was starting my massage
you're talking about your overnight success, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How long did that take for you?
3.5 years. So still not long, but I think there was a lot more things, people don't see the behind the scenes. And when I was doing the massage therapy stuff, again, 0 clients, 0 followers on Instagram. And I actually went to the gym that I would train at, a lot of bodybuilders, and I would do tables there. And one of the things that really, really helped me out was I found one of my buddies who works out, but he was also the friendliest guy and actually talked the most. So he loved talking to people. So I said, hey man, can we, do you mind if I do a little session with you over in the corner of the gym? The gym owner said it was cool. And he was like, yeah, of course, Joe, let's do it. So I was doing some, soft tissue work, and then people from the gym would pop over and it's like, what are you doing? And then of course, my friend is like, it's amazing. It works instantly and it's so worth it. And then that's when people started to ask me, how can I do a session with you? Where can I find you? And I didn't even have an office at that point. And then I found a room that I was sharing, across the gym. And then that's when I started to actually start getting clients. But I would still give free sessions to my friends, but in exchange to post on social media. And then that's when I started to push social media a little bit more. But man, I was in the gyms, kind of cold calling people, just walking up to people.
No, the thing is brilliant. It's like, when you go to one of the larger supermarkets, right? Mm-hmm. There are so many versions of that product that's in those freezers, but the brand that actually gives out samples, people try it. They go like, "Wow, this is delicious. Which one is it?" And the person points to it. The sample guy points to it, and then you go and pick that stuff up, and you're selling more of your product than over the other. Like you're sampling in that scenario. So, what is it? I mean, I don't see it as a, it's almost, some people fault consumers for not knowing what, the talent you are,
Yeah.
as an entrepreneur. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like but you never showed them like how talented you are. Like that's what you were doing. You were showing people, like you're using one of your friends to actually show them how it's helping them and stuff like that. And then you can see like there are 20 other people lined up to sign up and pay you. You did one for free. You're getting 20 paying clients,
I think a lot of people forget that in this era because everything's digital. Everyone thinks it's only digital and no one's actually going out and doing the things we did 10, 15 years ago, at least for my business. And I mean, that's how it started. And a lot of those free sessions that I was doing, they're strategic of who I picked because, they had good exposure, but they also needed my services. And it was a good exchange at the time. But those initial people that I was giving free sessions and they were referring people to me, I ended up getting some of my biggest clients, from those sessions and then seeing that I was working on certain people. So you got to blend both. Just because it's digital doesn't mean, especially when you're starting out, it's like do anything you can when you're starting out and building.
Yeah. I mean, the payout is great, like in the words of great Gary Vee, like we're channeling him during this interview so much. It goes like, like I don't know how he says it, but I'm gonna paraphrase. He goes like, "Eat shit for now, but have caviar for the rest of your life." So
exactly.
it's like it, it's like, yeah, you know what? The first 3 clients, the first 10 clients, do it free. Like get the word of mouth, get the testimonial. And then if you're smart about it, you can take the video like you did. You took the video, you took the photos, turned that into a post. And even physically, when people were there looking at this demonstration, they went like, well, where do I sign up? I would like to get some of this too,
Yeah, I didn't tell my followers they were free. So,
yeah,
you gotta.
But as far as they know, that was a paying client.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I ended up working out.
Yeah, very cool. Now, so actually, let's go through the equipment. You mentioned iPhone 5 at the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. What does the equipment look like now?
So back then it was brutal. I was using like an iPhone 5 or I think it was iPhone 5S or iPhone 6S. And I was using a MacBook Air, like 11-inch MacBook Air from 2012 or 2011. And I don't know if you've ever tried to edit a video on one of those. It's pretty much you're editing something and it won't even play. You just see screenshot, and then that's it. So you have to export it and then see if it came out okay. So that's what I did for probably the first 2 years. It was just, until, I was actually starting to make a little bit of money and I could afford to invest in a new laptop. So now I have, my MacBook Pro and I still have an iPhone 10. I haven't upgraded yet. And then I also have a Sony A7 III, which just is unbelievable for my other content, for more of like my membership site and like YouTube, just so it can be 4K if I need it to be. But to be honest, I use my iPhone for the majority of things just because it's way easier.
Yeah. Now, as far as the venue goes, startup versus where you are now, for shooting these videos, where do you shoot them?
So back when I started, and you can see when I repost something because the setting is different. And I've been reposting a lot lately. But back then it was in my apartment and there was like no furniture in there. So it literally looks like an empty apartment. And I would get comments all the time like, do you have any furniture, Joe? And it was, empty apartment. And then I ended up getting a shared room at this place where I would do my massage therapy sessions. I would film some stuff there too. So wherever I could film. Now I can, I have an office. It's my fourth office in just under 4 years, but it's nice, great floors. It's the one that you see in my background nowadays. It's got a nice onyx floor and then workout rig behind us, massage tables, like 1,200 square feet. Now it's in a great building too. So it's crazy how things evolved where I was shooting from my apartment in like a crappy, shared room all the way up to, fourth floor office building now.
Very cool. Now, so you start publishing, right? Initially on Instagram, especially because I've been part of that evolution, so I know the timeline there. There were no paid ads, right? So initially it was just organic posts, and life was great because you could post and get all this free exposure.
Yeah.
When did you start playing with like boosting your posts or buying audiences to get impression and further reach? Because eventually, Instagram started pulling back on organic and they started pushing, especially after they got acquired by Facebook.
So I've never boosted a post ever.
Wow.
And the one thing that I realized when I was starting to do more content was there are these accounts that basically curate other people's content. It's just like a mega page. It's essentially like a meme page, but they would pull, memes from different pages and they would be the 10 million meme page. And there is the fitness version of that. So it'd be fitness accounts that had 1 million, 2 million followers, but they would pull popular content from other people's accounts. And I remember one day, this was crazy. I remember one day I was getting beers and like pizza with a buddy of mine watching football, and it was like a Friday night. And I don't know if maybe not football if it was a Friday night, but it was a Friday night, and one of these accounts reposted one of my it was basically the most popular post I've ever had, put it on their page. And over the weekend, I had 300,000 new followers.
Wow.
Maybe not maybe it was 100,000 new followers in 3 days. And
but this is something unbeknownst to you. Like you did not know anything about it. Just showed up by surprise.
Yeah. So I was like, what the hell is going on? But so this account found my post, saw it did well on my page. They put it on their page, but then it's just like a domino effect. So other pages that had really big followings saw that they posted it, and then they would post it on their page. Wow. So it just became this thing. And I realized, I think like 10, 20 of these accounts just kept reusing my post. And then I gained 100K new followers in 3 days. So when that happened, I realized I didn't really need to concentrate too much on boosting things. It was more just keep creating content that, was valuable to other people. So if it did well on my page, there might be a chance it gets pulled and reposted on one of these bigger pages.
That's awesome. When you are working on content, right? Sometimes it might be just a crapshoot, right? So you produce different types of content, especially in the beginning. You're testing different things out, and I'm sure that a lot of people are thinking about that. Like, should I do a recipe? Should I do a how to? Should I show them what the benefits of the product is, or show them how to do my hair, whatever
Yeah.
whatever those things are. I just jumped so many different categories there. Um, when do you know, like, when to, like triple down on certain content and completely stop making other content because it's not working for you?
Yeah. Again, just looking at your metrics and your feedback, and then also just concentrating on a specific category, which I think so many people at the beginning, they're all over the place. They want to be the personal trainer, but then they also want to be the motivational speaker, and then they want to get into nutrition. It's like, pick one. It's too complicated. And it's kind of crappy when you're on my side of things, because people think you're just like a one-trick pony. You only know about this subject. But at the beginning, especially at the beginning, you need to know what your audience is going to be and what you want to be known for. And that makes your life a lot easier, because people are going for you for a certain topic instead of that other person. You become the authority on it. So first of all, I would just concentrate on one thing. So again, for me, it was like the self-massage, more of the mobility stuff. Do I know how to teach strength training? Yes, that's what I started with. But I realized that once I would go into that arena, it might start stepping on other people's toes that you're friends with, and then you become competition. And I was like, you know what? I'll stay out of your lane and I'll concentrate on this. I enjoyed a little bit more too anyways. But again, concentrating a little bit more specific at the beginning, and then later on, you might be able to branch off a little bit because you have an audience that probably just is investing in you as much as the content. And then looking at your metrics. If one style of thing doesn't work, then give it a try, keep doing it. But then if it doesn't work, then time to pivot. I think a lot of people are very stubborn now. They have this dream and they're like, I want to do it this way, and it can only be this way. But then they don't gain any traction. They don't get any clients in person. They aren't getting a greater reach on social. And then they just do it for like a year. And I'm like, you probably should have pivoted 9 months ago. So just being aware of what's going on is going to be super important. Getting the feedback too.
So, as an entrepreneur, you always run into that challenge, right? Where you love what you are doing. You're very hot and passionate about this thing, your method, your method to your madness, right? Whatever that thing is. But then do you produce content? I mean, have you struggled with that kind of a challenge where you, do I make content because I love making this type of content, or am I worried about KPIs and am I worried about engagement and comments and likes and those kinds of things? There are two varying degrees of school of thought on that. One says produce content that that is highly valuable, right? And just keep producing it. You will find the audience will find you, right?
Yep.
Versus the example you gave earlier, that account that hacked it, they were probably using your content. They were actually getting a huge boost from it, and in turn, it gave you a boost too, right? So
exactly.
they were it's like being slave to the KPIs. Do you do it because of the platform, or do you do it because of the passion? Have you struggled with that sort of a tug of war between those two things?
Not as much, because I think it's weird now because people come into social media, into personal training therapies to be famous on Instagram. And it wasn't really
Not for the business of personal training.
What's that?
Not for the business of personal training, for the Instagram celebrity.
They just want the clout, and they just want to be, in front of people. And, when I started this whole career path, there was no Instagram. It was literally, I like to work out, and I think I can maybe help people feel the same way I do about working out. And that's why I got into it. So when I go into my content, I just make sure I don't really hold back too much information, because this is the stuff I spent a ton of money on in continuing education. And, a lot of people are hesitant to put that type of work into a free post. But I mean, it's the landscape now. Everything, you can find any information if you do a little digging, or someone's going to at least tell people about how to do this or do that. So it always has to come down to helping people first. If you have that, the money is a side effect. The following is a side effect, because now everything's twisted. So a lot of the questions that I get now, it's, how do I become famous on Instagram? And I'm like, well, why don't you ask yourself, how do I help people first? And then maybe that should be the next thing.
I think while I was growing up, that question was, how can I become a famous actor?
Exactly.
Right? It took a while for De Niro to become De Niro, even for De Niro himself, or Al Pacino or any of those greats,
And I think that's what helps us, because I was still in, Facebook came out basically 2004, 2005. And I was like before that era. It was like I was using dial-up was the first type of internet that I was using. So, a lot of these young kids nowadays, they never knew about not having a cell phone and not always being plugged in. So I think that's why it's so much difficult now. And I'm curious to see how things with like people who are just living on TikTok and like it's all about the numbers and metrics. I feel like it's very bad mentally for these people. But I can dissociate it a little bit because I grew up before that time, which I think plays a huge advantage for, the mid-20s over crowd, especially with the social media.
I mean, just moving away a little bit from reality, there's a show, it's like the name is escaping me right now, on Netflix. It talks about the dystopian society and future where...
It's like a mirror, Black Mirror?
Yeah, Black Mirror, exactly.
Yeah.
Dystopian society where the likes and engagements and whether other people rate you give you access to certain services. If you don't have, a certain level, you cannot fly even like on an airplane because people think that you're a horrible person, right? Including the relationships you can have and everything like that, and everything is being evaluated. I mean, it was a crazy episode, but it was interesting that, that's how they tackled the impact of likes and engagement and those kinds of things on society in this like fictional society in the future. I'm sure it's happening in the world today. Some country is doing it right now. I don't want to name any countries. I know of a few. I don't want to name them. I don't want to piss people off. But there is some reality to that.
It was it's interesting because before I got Insta famous, I would watch YouTubers and Instagram influencers, and they would do these posts where they would complain and be like, I'm burnt out. And I'm like, in my brain, I couldn't comprehend that. I'm like, you're doing something you love and you work for yourself and you're making probably a ton of money. Like, why are you complaining? And then now, as I've been immersed in this world, I can see why people start to freak out a little bit once in a while and have that mental breakdown, because it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff, and it can definitely play with your brain. So, making sure that you have that under control and take maybe like mini breaks here and there is definitely important to kind of bring yourself back to reality.
No, I think what makes the biggest difference is if you went into whatever venture you went into, I don't care if you were making money or not, the venture you went into, your intention was not to kind of elevate your passion, right? It was something else.
Exactly.
What is that something else? You read an article that said that you should get this kind of a college degree because people make a lot of money. Yeah, I don't see too many neurosurgeons walking around, so that's one. There are things like that. Like if you made the decision not for the right reasons and it doesn't fit into your personality, now you're going to get into a lot of issues with that, because now you didn't realize it. Now, even though you're Insta famous and everything, the problem with it is that's not what you wanted to do in the first place. You wanted to do something else, and you just happen to be into it, and it's no longer your passion. So now it feels like a job. And if you don't do your job, you're not going to get paid from whatever it is, YouTube, brands, influencer marketing, whatever you call it,
Exactly.
Now, actually, there is I'm going to talk about some black hat type of stuff, right? Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Because we want to go through all the scars,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that buy followers, right? They buy followers. I want you to tackle that kind of a topic, buying followers, and because there's a whole ecosystem of a lot of fraudulent followers, bots, ghost followers, and stuff like that. Have you gone through that? Have you done hygiene on your account to remove like ghost followers and bots and stuff? The platform does it by itself too, but have you gone out of your way to do that to your audience too?
So actually, yeah, I don't even know how to do that. But so I'm very happy that everything I've done is organic, but I know it's pretty obvious when someone has 1 million followers, or whatever, like 100,000 followers, and they get 300 views on a video. Yeah, I think yeah, I think the videos is the views is what really catches people. At least that's what I see the most, because it's like no one's watching it. Like it's automatically counted, and I think it's like the worst thing ever, because it gives you like a false positive. Like you're always chasing a certain number, and then you're like buying likes, you're buying whatever, and then you're commenting on other accounts that you own on your account, and it just doesn't become authentic. And then those people, if you're doing like unfollow, follow, that's a very popular thing too.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, it's like I know all the black hat things because people are just trying to hack the system. And again, they're putting so much emphasis on it, and they don't concentrate again on the content. Engagement groups is another thing, and I know that works. And I won't lie, I've joined an engagement group for like a week, and it was through Telegram, and everyone's like, it's the 3 o'clock time to post, and then everyone would post, and then you have to go in and like everyone's stuff, and I'm like, man, this sucks. And then it's like accounts that I don't even like, and I'm like, this is not worth it. And I just concentrate on the content, and it makes my life a lot easier, because now I know the people who are following me are there for me, and it just wasn't just some random thing. So
I think the brands have become much more wiser to it, because there are a lot more tools now that actually look at your engagement rate. They look at your follower count. They actually analyze your follower count, right? Just kind of certify your followers to see how much ghost you have and stuff like that. I mean, if you, at one point, if as an influencer, I mean, if you have done that, it makes sense. Like now you're far beyond it. Hopefully you don't have like let's say 1.5 million followers and 1 million of them are fake,
Yeah.
Because in the cleanup, you're going to get rid of all million. But the thing is, at the same time, it doesn't matter, right? What use is that, certain features get enabled above, 10,000 followers or something, like swipe up and stuff like that. So stuff like that, like beyond that, what was it? Addiction to just seeing a higher follower count? Because if you're not getting engagement, then you're not really getting a good read into the content you're producing, right? So rushing to, like, I would invest, and I'm not saying follower count, but invest in other types of paid media to actually get legitimate followers into my account, but not at the expense of getting poor audience, like irrelevant audience to my profile.
Yeah, and to be honest, I know so many people. I actually just met someone a couple days ago, and they basically have like no following on social media, and they have a 7 million, or not 7, no, like a 7-figure business. And but they just are, once they get their people in, they know how to leverage it. So I mean, I think it's really cool that I have such a high amount of followers, but I also think it's the type of content I'm putting out. But you don't have to have this many followers to be successful. I think that's where there's this big mistake. Everyone thinks high numbers, high success, but you could have 1,000 people, 500 people. But if those 1,000 people absolutely love what you're doing, you can make a great business out of that.
Do you do any kind of like for shout outs where it makes sense, and some sort of a collaboration or something like that?
So back in the day, I don't do that stuff anymore, but I used to share posts with people. So back when I think I had, what was it, like 5,000 to 10,000 people, I actually did kind of like a mini engagement group that I didn't even know was an engagement group. I would just be like, hey, can we just throw ideas around and just like my video? And when you have a video up, I'll like it. So it was very small scale. It was like 5, 6 people. But when I hit about 100,000, I started to reach out to other accounts that I really admired, One was actually Gary Vee's personal trainer, Jordan Syatt. He's not his trainer anymore, but I met him through online. We kind of went on that same rise at the same time. So I was like, this guy's stuff is great. And all I did was DM him and said, hey, I love your content. You know, would you like to I'll post one of yours on my page. You post one of mine on your page. And because we have such a good community, they'll probably start following. Yeah, cross-pollinate. And he was like, hell yeah, man, you have great content. Would love to, you know, help out. And that was a great way to boost up, you know, our follower count, but also help probably the other person too, because we're giving complimentary services to each other. And, you know, I did that a few times, and then I would do collaborations where, you know, in person. And I mean, those are great. I mean, people need to do more of those, especially at the beginning, I think, because it's the easiest way to get yourself in front of a new crowd.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense. Now, in this journey, have you gotten to a place where you are? We will talk about those books in the back, by the way.
Yeah.
Like you have stacked them up, so we'll definitely talk about that. But have you started in syndicating? Oh, there you go. Do you want to talk about this before I talk about
No, keep going.
Okay. I don't have a copy. I need an autographed copy from you, by the way.
I know, you reminded me. I'm going to send you one.
Yeah, I think I have a Kindle version of it, but an autographed copy would be great. Have you, because you're producing so much video, have you thought of like recreating bigger videos, top 10 body parts or something like that, and syndicating it on like YouTube or re-syndicating it on IGTV or Instagram?
Yeah, so I definitely concentrated more on Instagram, again, because I think that was my strength. It's like Gary Vee saying, you know, it's like triple down on your strengths or something like that. And that's what I ended up doing. I put a lot of my eggs into Instagram, but I was still dabbling in YouTube. And, you know, I don't think a lot of people don't realize how much goes into, I guess, optimizing a YouTube video. And then, you know, you have to edit it, and it's a little bit longer content. The quality should be maybe a little bit higher. So I'm starting to do that now because I know how important it is to kind of diversify where your information is. So definitely doing that. And then whenever I have something on YouTube, I most likely will repost it to my IGTV. And then again, you can post it on LinkedIn and wherever you want it to be. And like the IG Reels, I'll put them on TikTok, and then maybe some TikTok stuff you put on IG Reels. Basically, you should just be putting it everywhere, because why not? It's repurposed content.
Exactly. So it's a repurpose strategy.
Yeah.
Very cool. So let's talk about the book, because I did in your bio, I did say that you're an author.
Better stretching. Exactly. Yeah. It's crazy. And
how did this come about?
Yeah. So an agent reached out to me early on. I have a gauge of everything by how many followers I had at the time. And I had maybe like 200 to 300,000 followers at the time. But I was just in the middle of my massage therapy business. It was starting to grow. And then I was starting my membership site. So I'm like, I just don't have time for this. So I said, hey, reach out to me in a year from now. And then he reached out a year later, and I was like, no, I'm still not ready. And then it was the end of 2018, September or August. And I reached out to him and said, I think I'm ready. Had a proposal, and then started to shop it around. And I went to New York City. It was in the Flatiron building at the time, and had a great meeting with a major publisher, and they picked it up. And it was really cool because one of the big things about leveraging that type of kind of deal is my following on social media. I was just about to hit 1 million followers. And from a marketing standpoint, that's huge for a company, to invest in, because you have an audience that you can sell the book to. And it's awesome. It took a lot of work and, some great pictures in here, but it still has the same feeling of my IG profile, because I wanted to keep everything simple, step by step, by body parts. And then I have some programs in here that kind of put everything together and explains a little bit why we're doing things in a certain way. But again, very, very simple way to understand it, because I think right now with fitness and medical, people, they almost try to make it sound more complicated than it is to make themselves feel smarter or impress the person they're talking to. So I wanted to scale everything back, and that's what resonated with people the most. And it's doing pretty decent right now, which is always good.
Well, congratulations. I know how much goes into like writing a book and then getting it published and then getting it marketed. This book came out recently, right? About a couple of months ago.
Yeah, so it was March 3rd, and I was in New York City at the time. So I did New York City, LA, New York City in about a 2-week span. And it was right when things were going down with everything going on. Yeah, going on in the world.
Well,
and
yeah, the world events.
The world events. And as I was finishing up, I flew back to Florida, and, then everything started to get a little bit more crazy. But yeah, it came out fairly recently, and it probably went to market at the right time because people were stuck inside. And, and I think a lot of people just wanted to support me too, which is a great thing. I love when my audience is like, you know what, I'll pick it up just because I love what you've been doing for the past 3 years for free.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a thank you for all the content you put out.
Mm-hmm.
It is available on Amazon and other sites.
Yeah, so it's every major bookstore. You can do Amazon. It's has the biggest discount, so Amazon is always pretty good. Apple Books, Barnes and Noble, Books A Million, like every place you can find a book, it's you can find it, and it's also digital too, so you can get the Kindle or Nook version.
I think that's the version I had downloaded before. Now, so you've shared a ton of great advice here, and insights into like personal brand and how you're leveraging it to kind of build up your intention of like revenue generation and creating great content, as well as, running a business at the same time. So I always ask all of my guests this one final question. What is your number one $100,000 expert insight into other personal trainers or other people with other types of craft, that they want to balance this, personal brand as well as, their passion and run a business? What is your number one advice to them?
Well, I knew this question was coming, and then I was trying to prep it, and I'm trying to think of what's the coolest thing I could say to really blow people away. But every time I was thinking about it, it always came back down to the fundamentals. And for me, Instagram was a pivotal role in everything. I've talked about this before. I said it changed my life. Everything that I'm doing right now is because of Instagram, or Instagram had a part of it. So I always go back to making sure that you continue to post quality content and stuff, just like what we were talking about. Make it content first and be consistent with it, because every single time you post a new piece of content is an opportunity for someone that didn't know who you were to know who you are now. And I think that's so big, because that's what kept me motivated as I was posting. It's like, I don't know who's going to see this. And if someone watches it for the first time and they're like, oh, this is really cool stuff, or he's in Orlando, let me check him out. That's huge. You just never know who you're going to meet. I mean, and then also networking too. But the first person one of my first big clients I got was via social media. His fiance or girlfriend at the time found me through another person's Instagram and said they got a session from me. And then I scored my first big high profile athletes. And also, again, the networking too. Like, I met you through our mutual friend, Matt Higgins, and I met Matt through a DM on Instagram. I asked him for business help and just shooting my shot. And he said, yeah, come to New York. And there we go. 8 months later, I'm in there and you're on a call with us. And that's how I met you. So it's so invaluable. And that alone has made, myself more than 6 figures multiple times over, because of who I've met just through posting on social media. So, I mean, I always emphasize that the most. Don't give up on posting. If you need a little break, take a little bit of a break, but keep going. You never know who's watching your post. It's crazy.
And so people can follow you and find you on Instagram. It's at JoeTherapy. That's your main.
Yep. So at JoeTherapy on Instagram is probably the best bet for you to find me. you can shoot me a DM, JoeTherapy.com. And those are probably the two best places to find me at this point. Those are my two favorite places to go.
Very cool. Well, Joe, thank you very much for being a part of This Week with Sabir. And thank you, audience members, for joining us. We have a lot more guests coming up with a lot of variety of topics that has to do with your business. So please tune in and check us out. And you can check out the other episodes on growthbysabir.com/live show. Thank you, Joe, for being part of the show.
That was an awesome time. Thanks, Sabir.
All right. Bye, guys.